Watching your child learn to speak is a wonderful experience, and the progress that young children make in their language development is nothing short of extraordinary. Children start to babble and chatter before they turn 1. Between 1 and 2, your child will start to speak in single words and will be joining words together by the time they're 2. By 3, they'll be speaking in sentences, and most people should be able to understand most of what they say. They'll also be able to follow instructions that you give them. It really is amazing, isn't it? Sometimes, however, a child's speech and language development will be delayed or a bit slower than expected. Sometimes their speech sounds will be mixed up or slushy or just a little bit unclear. They may say one sound instead of another in words. So what should you expect as a parent? For first-time parents, it's often hard to know what to expect. So let's have a look at a typical child's development. Typically, children learn different speech sounds at different ages. We've included a handout to show you how this works, just to give you a bit more of an idea about what to expect at different ages. When I talk about language skills, I'm really talking about 2 different things. Expressive language is how your child is putting words together into sentences and how they're telling you what they need and telling you stories and so on. Receptive language is all about how well they understand what you're saying to them. So one is the output and one is what's coming in. So before your child starts school, most people should be able to understand most of what they say. And if that's not happening, then perhaps there may be a problem. So that's about their speech skills. In terms of language, they should be speaking in complete sentences. They should be using and understanding positional words such as under and next to, words like that. They should be able to follow 2-step instructions such as please put your shoes on and be ready to leave at the back door. Hearing. I spoke about hearing in an earlier lesson. If you're concerned about your child's hearing, please see your local doctor or your child and family nurse for a checkup and a referral for a hearing test. The earlier you get onto this, the better. Bilingual families. If you speak more than 1 language at home, then your child is very lucky to have the opportunity to speak 2 languages. Don't be concerned if your child mixes up both languages. It's not necessarily a sign that there's a problem. Children will use the language that they have access to, so they may mix up words in both languages, and that's because they don't necessarily know the name of that thing in the language they're speaking, so they'll use the other language. As I said, don't be concerned, it's a great opportunity. So things you can do to help is to make sure that you name each language to your child so they know which language they're speaking in. Read books and teach songs in both languages. Try and watch TV in both languages. It's not just about the language too. Try and teach your child some of the culture of each language, so different foods and special events. Try to find other families who speak in that language. And also don't give up if your child has a preference for one language over the other. Naturally, they may wish to just speak in English because that's the language of the country you're living in now. So don't give up on the other language, just keep at it. Dummies, pacifiers, thumb sucking and bottles. Let's take a moment to talk about these things. Some children are still using dummies or pacifiers in the year before they start school. They may still suck their thumb or their fingers, or they may still want to drink out of a bottle with a teat. Often this doesn't cause too many problems. However, these behaviours can push your children's teeth out of alignment, which can affect their speech and the appearance of their teeth. Also, if your child has a dummy or a pacifier in their mouth, they may not be talking as much as you'd like. So it's quite a good idea in that year before they start school to just move on from these things. They're habits that are better if they don't persist. Now, I know that's very easy for me to sit here and say, get rid of your child's pacifier, but there are some things you can do. So if your child still wants to drink out of a bottle, for example, only offer them water in that bottle. Give them milk and juice and other drinks in a cup or in a sippy cup, and they may well lose interest in the bottle. Dummies and pacifiers can be put out of sight, or you can swap them for some other comforter like a toy or a rug. I've seen some families bury the pacifier or dummy in the garden and then plant a tree on top of it as a way of saying goodbye, and then the children can care for the tree instead. Remember, as a parent, you need to praise and reinforce the behaviours you want to see, and this works the same with dummies and thumb sucking and so on. So remember to tell your child, that was fantastic, you drank your milk from the cup. I really like the way that I can hear you so much better when you don't have your dummy in your mouth or your thumb in your mouth. Can you hold these things for me in both hands? That's a really great help. And that way the child's hands are busy and they can't be in their mouth. So there are a few different tips and tricks you can use. And like other things, you need to persist. Don't give up in the first instance. So who can help you? Educators at your child's preschool and childcare centre or early childhood service have a lot of knowledge about typical child development, and they will notice if your child's development in any area is a bit slower than expected, or if they're noticing any problems, perhaps understanding your child. The child and family nurse could be another good resource person. They have a lot of knowledge about child development. Family and friends may comment as well, and I think sometimes it can feel like criticism. Sometimes we as parents, we're very defensive on our child's behalf, and we might feel we're being criticised in our parenting skills. So try not to feel like that. People aren't doing that. They're not saying you're a bad parent. Mostly they're just trying to be helpful. Try to find someone you trust, like your child's educator or your local family doctor, and get advice early. If you need to see a speech pathologist, it's better to do that early rather than later. If the assessment shows your child's doing well and developing typically, then that's no problem, that's great. If there are some things that the speech pathologist thinks that he or she can help with, then it's better to start early and work together so that you can help your child to catch up.